So today I want to talk to you guys about how I personally got Diamond last season, and then eventually got all the way up to Masters, I guess, as well, to help you guys even more in both those situations. Now, for myself, I will say that last season I placed around 2,800. I deranked a lot from just not playing the game before that, but I finally started to get really back into the game, learn new characters, and I feel like I can say firsthand kind of what you have to do to actually climb, or at least what I personally did to climb. And I want to give you guys some exact things that I did, other than, you know, some just general statements. I will probably end up giving a few of those as we go along, but I want to talk mainly about exactly what I did to go up and climb. Now, I guess to begin, I'm going to have to talk about the beginning of Season 9, and even, I guess, talk a little bit about Season 8. If you looked at me playing in Overwatch Season 8, I essentially became a D.Va one-trick. If you remember, it was spam meta. D.Va was just so powerful. There was Mercy also in that meta, so that was pretty annoying, and D.Va was just one of the only characters I could personally play that would work against those characters at all. So I picked up D.Va, I had like 11 hours on her, and I had like an 82% win rate that eventually dropped to like a 76% win rate. And I guess that's one tip I can give, you know, pick a good character that you're good at. I mean, that's pretty obvious, and main them. And, you know, that's kind of what I did. I was doing really well. I think I got almost to Masters in Season 8, but then I stopped playing. Eventually, I got auto deranked for not playing the game, and then I started to lose quite a few matches, playing other characters, trying to fill, and, you know, the next season started up. The thing I should say about Season 8, though, is that I did kind of stop playing at the end of the season, which is alright. I mean, you can do that, and if you're coming into Season 10, it's okay to not really have to play much in Season 9. But what you should remember is that you won't have all the skills that you had from the previous season in this next season. For myself, with that example, in Season 8, I, again, was pretty good at D.Va, at least in my own opinion. I was climbing really fast, doing really well. I knew how to play against the current meta, but when the new season came out, which was, again, you know, another dive meta pretty much, I didn't really know how to play D.Va in that at all. And other than just that, I also wasn't very skilled at her anymore because I didn't play her for a long time. And in Season 8, when I was trying to learn D.Va, I put in a lot of time looking at how to improve myself. I watched a lot of pro plays, I watched a lot of the Overwatch League, I watched a lot of guide and tip videos, but in the next season, after that big break, I mean, I kind of felt like, you know, I don't really have to do this, I'll just be good from the last season. That isn't really how it turned out, though, and this is kind of how Season 9 turned out, which was the last season. So at the beginning of Season 9, I was placed about 2,900, so honestly, pretty close to Diamond already, so this is mainly going to be talking about getting to Diamond initially, and then eventually, you know, getting to Masters. So at the beginning of that season, of course, I pick up D.Va. I don't really understand the difference between the metas, and this is something you should try to do, learn the difference between the previous meta and the next meta to see how to play it, but I didn't really understand that. I just kind of brought her into a lot of games, and honestly, my win rate was around like 30% in 10 games, so I didn't do that well for those games. I dropped down to like 2,700, and I wasn't feeling all that great, honestly. I was looking at my character pool, seeing what was going on, and for myself, I decided, you know what? Maybe this season I'll try out some other characters, and this is something you might want to do in the new season. If you play against a certain meta and you just don't like how your character works versus it, maybe try to switch it up. For me, personally, it worked really well. Of course, if you still enjoy your character and still think they work in that current meta, go for it. Of course, D.Va really worked well in Season 9 still. I just personally didn't really enjoy playing her like that. But whatever, you know, I dropped D.Va a little bit. I started picking up support a lot because I thought it was a role that I could get into, that I could fill as. Overall, it worked really well for me. I picked up Zenyatta, picked up Lucio, and picked up Moira, and within the first 3 days, I climbed all the way to Diamond. And essentially how I did it was basically by playing around my teammates. And of course, I would try to make calls if people would listen to those, but mainly looking at what my teammates were doing, trying to make the rest of my teammates follow what they're doing, and make really powerful, impactful plays from there. And honestly, in a lot of cases, it didn't matter way too much how good my teammates were, as long as you could get those just plays going on. Mechanics didn't matter way too much, honestly. And, you know, if I got a good Discord, if I got a good pick as Zenyatta, that was nice as well. If I got a great speed boost, that was all great also. But I think generally making game plan for your team really was what kind of helped me. Now, I should mention right here, and you know, some tips for tanks and DPS that I've had in past seasons. With DPS, honestly, I just say, try to learn if your character can flank, and if they can, learn how to do that well. Learn how to get those 1v1s, because that's really how you can start carrying. Or as well, look at your team comp and see if you can actually play in the front line with them, because a lot of the times, if you're playing in the front line with someone like Doomfist, and it actually works okay with your comp, you're going to be doing more damage than the enemy DPS, even though you might not be getting as much picks, you're still going to be doing a lot more. So that's maybe another thing I have to say about that role. I played a lot of Reaper in season like 4 or 5, and playing in the front line really helped there. And as well, if you're playing tank, I'd say, you know, just put a lot more importance on your ultimates, because those are what really can win you a game is this role. And of course, you should focus on your positioning a lot with all of these roles, but that's mainly what I look for to tank. Now, back to, I guess, myself with support. I picked up support, started to play a lot, got to Diamond eventually, mainly from just playing with my teammate, looking at their plays, obviously, and trying to support those. And as well, though, one thing I'm going to say here, though, is that, honestly, I would add every single good DPS I could find, or every single good tank player that I could find. And this is something that I've never done in previous seasons, and I have made it to Masters a few times in, you know, seasons a long time ago. But this helped a lot, and I mean, you could call it boosting, you could call it whatever, but if you're doing good enough as support, or good enough as tank, or even good enough as DPS, and you add someone else and they add you back, I think that's a pretty fair deal, honestly. And, I mean, if they want your help, you want their help, I'd say go for it. And I think that's what really helped me a lot, eventually climb a lot faster as support, because as support, and even as all of these roles, you can do quite a bit by yourself. But if you get a DPS player that maybe even isn't the best player in the world, but as long as they play in a similar playstyle to you and actually complement you, well, you can really carry that game, or really any game. A good example here is that I met up with this random Bastion player. And for this season, I said I've been playing a lot of support, but for that game, I had to fill Orisa, I was playing with a Bastion, and we stomped that match. And then I was like, hey, do you want to play another one? He said, sure. We added each other, or at least to a group. We played another, and I won like 7 matches in a row with this guy. Now, eventually he had to leave, and we haven't really played much since then. But still, I mean, there is a lot of benefit from adding people that you're playing well with. And I think that is one of the main things to, I guess, try to climb up to Diamond and even above Diamond. Now, I think I should mention here is that, you know, all that was nice, all that was great, but really focusing on my game sense and focusing on my positioning and where I should be every single game and what I should be doing was probably the most important thing. What I started to do was something that I saw from a IOStucks video, and that is to talk through every single play that I'm making, or at least try to think through every single play. And if it sounds really stupid in my head, I didn't do that. If I thought to myself, hey, I'll peek around this corner and go for a pick, and I'm also thinking, hey, but there's no tanks here, you know, a lot of the times I stop myself from doing that and instead make the smarter play. That alone, I think, helped me improve drastically. And looking at yourself at all times instead of looking at your teammates, I think was an important thing for myself, because at the beginning of the season, you know, I pretty much felt entitled to getting Masters really quickly because I was almost there last season. I was just hoping for good teammates and it wasn't really working out. I just kept falling. But eventually when I stopped caring what my teammates played at all, I could climb. And especially when I was filling, that really allowed for myself to climb. Overall, I would say if you are one of those people that cares a lot about team comps, you just kind of have to not anymore and instead think about how you can play around the team comp that you are given. And you can kind of think of that as like a little mini game, a little extra challenge, whatever you want to say. No matter how stupid your team comp is, you'll win quite a few games. I've had many quad DPS comps where I am Orisa, I have a Mercy on my team, you still win it. You know, there's a lot of stuff you just have to kind of get used to, and I think that's really kind of competitive in the nutshell. You have to get used to a lot of crap, but if you do, you honestly can climb. And if you just always keep, not a great attitude, but if you keep an alright attitude, and you know, that's better than a lot of other people. Now, one final thing about competitive season 10 that I want to talk about here is that you really should be trying to use the avoid his teammate feature. It's an important feature that's been added to the game, and I've been using it a lot at the end of season 9, and I think that might have even been the reason why I got to Masters eventually. I was pretty close at around 3,470 or 60 or something like that, and you know, I got a teammate that was a one trick playing Torb. You know, that's fine, do whatever you want, but he just wasn't cutting it for me. Wasn't really my type of player, and I don't know, the maps didn't really work out. So I avoided that guy as teammate. We lost that game, obviously, very hard. But the next game I played against him, won. Played another game against him, won. And played a third game against him, won. And got to Masters. So I guess there is a little pro tip in disguise. And as well as something I'm going to say right here is that if you are a player that, you know, just gets really angry at your teammates, I just at least avoid one teammate every single game. Even if they're doing all right, if you're just a person that gets really tilted, I think that's a good way to get rid of a lot of the tilt, honestly. And I guess one final thing about avoid his teammate is that if you know the enemy team had a teammate that just kept killing themselves as Winston or just had really terrible heals as Mercy, and you can notice that, you should probably also try to avoid the enemy teammates. Now, this isn't going to immediately make you climb ranks super fast, and especially at lower ranks, it doesn't do as much because it's just such a huge population of players, and it really only applies to nighttime. But it's kind of a nice memento, at least, for yourself, and, you know, I'd kind of recommend doing that. But anyways, there you guys go. That's kind of how I got Diamond last season, and then that's kind of how I also got Masters. Essentially just grinding the game, picking one role, putting a lot of time into it, watching a lot of guides about that role, and actually not autopiloting my way through the game. Instead, focusing on myself and focusing really on the really stupid stuff that I do all the time, and seeing, I guess, how I can play against this new meta. That's going to be important with Brigitte coming out, or Bridget, because she's going to be extremely strong on quite a few maps, and you should think about how your hero will work against that. Otherwise, you're probably going to get pub stomped for at least a little bit. Anyways, as always, guys, though, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I wanted to make this video as much of a story type of video instead of just a plain tip video, because I do have a placement match video just talking straight up about tips. So if you want to see that, you can check out the link in the description or the card at the top right of the screen right now. And there's some more exact tips if you guys want to see stuff like that, which, you know, you might want to. Anyways, as always, guys, though, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this about Season 10, or if you want to see Bridget content, because I'm going to be making a lot of that. And as always, guys, though, thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.